Welcome to the Gigless Podcast, a podcast showcasing the works and talents of those who lost their gigs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This podcast will feature a range of creatives from the tri-state area who are young visionaries and who contribute to the craft despite the recent events that have happened. Join us today as our host Remi Leibovic speaks with Bachrach, the singer, guitarist, and songwriter for the acclaimed rock, ska, punk New Jersey band, the Schwam. As an artist, Brandon has ventured out into various side projects such as Elementality and Twitch live streaming as a gamer and musician. You can learn more about him and his projects in the show notes of this episode. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Gigless. I am joined here today with Brandon Bachrach. He is the singer and guitarist for the Schwam. Hi, Brandon.
You got it. Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing great too.
That's good. I'm happy that, in the middle of all this madness, that people are still doing good. So,
Oh yeah.
Brandon, for those that don't know about you or the Schwam, do you mind telling us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Schwam is we had to kind of pick a genre. I don't really like categorizing things by genre, but we are rock ska punk band from New Jersey. We have been playing for it's about to be 10 years. We do we'll do local cover gigs and also we sort of have two sides to us where we'll do like the 3 hour cover gigs and then we'll do a nice 30-45 minute fully original gig. So we kind of like to diversify a little bit. We have a horn section, which is the meat of the band. That's the fun part. No, I'm kidding. But no, we have an awesome horn section and just an awesome crew. I haven't seen a lot of them in a while, but that's pretty much us.
I love a good horn.
Yeah, right.
I love a good horn. It's like when you're driving through like the countryside and you see all those front porches and you're like, man, I love a good porch.
Good porch swing. Exactly.
There you go.
We got John who plays alto and soprano sax. We've got Brian who plays trombone and trumpet, not at the same time, of course. We've got Casey who's my girlfriend, and she plays Barry and tenor sax. So we have a lot of switching around.
Very multi-talented.
Yeah.
Very, very multi-talented. I feel that like musicians, at least from 2010, I was in high school. Everybody just played like one instrument in a band. I feel like local bands now, but I feel that a lot of local bands have expanded themselves, and I really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, and of course I gotta since now I name dropped the horn section. We got Jason on bass, and we got Mike Vagooch on drums. And I miss them.
How have you guys, as a band, I mean, we are slowly reopening here in New Jersey. It's currently September 17th that we're recording this. It's going to come out a few weeks in the future. But, how are you dealing with, just as a band, like everything's reopening? Are you guys like socially distancing practicing, or what are you guys up to?
So basically I haven't seen, well, I've seen them all in some shape or form, but we haven't practiced since March.
Right.
At least not together. We basically I'm high risk. I'm immunocompromised.
Right.
So it's kind of a risky situation, especially because a few members of the band still work and have been working regularly. And when I say work, I mean are in contact with people and have been in contact with people regularly since the the pandemic started with no interruption. So it's kind of hard to we're we've got our like really close friends and family and stuff, and we've got our band, and those are the people we want to protect the most, and that's what makes it the hardest to those are the people that we need to not see right now.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I live with immunocompromised family, and
Yeah.
Gigless, to anyone that's listening to this, the Gigless podcast has always been recorded over Zoom calls. I don't
Mm.
meet with anybody, and that's just been the theme because, I'm not going to risk myself or my guests or encourage bad behavior to my listeners.
Exactly.
And another
Luckily, we have
thing,
great technology to yeah.
yeah, we do have
Sorry.
great technology here to record, and then Dane cleans it up. But
Yeah.
you know, um, so what are some of the projects that have come out for you then if you can't reconnect with your band and you're stuck in at home?
So basically, right before all this happened, we were about to record an album. We had all the music finished. We were pretty much just in the process of recording some demos, just doing some fine tuning, and then we were going to record an album. And I'm also in the band Elementality, um, with Paul, as you know, and so and Dane has filled in on guitar for Elementality once or twice.
So Dane Wagner, our producer, and Paul Polio, our friend.
Yep. I got a new guitar recently, and the guitar I got was because I saw Dane playing the same one, and I was just like, "That's a nice guitar."
That's a
Um,
nice investment.
yeah, right. Um, so basically, we were gonna record, and Elementality was too. We actually were almost done recording a new EP, um, and we actually only had vocals left, and of course that was the one thing that we couldn't do was come together to collaborate on vocals with harmonies and everything like that. Um, so it kind of paused a lot of things like that. You're asking what new projects?
Well, what have you experimented with in this time? Because I know
Got
that you
you.
guys are multi-instrumentally talented. So what have
Yeah.
you done?
So basically, the biggest thing for me that's come out of it, and actually half the band that's come out of it, is we started streaming on Twitch. Um, it started by like I was just like streaming on Facebook, and I was doing computer builds for my friends because I wanted to help people out because a lot of people were working from home now, and I built computers, so I was like, hey, I'll help you build a computer, and the caveat being let me stream myself building it. So I started doing that, and then that led to me building my own computer and my own home office. And so I started streaming on Twitch. It's been about 6 months now, um, or it was like mid-April, and I was just playing some games on there, doing the typical Twitch streamer stuff, and then I was like, I want to work music into this, and kind of, that's my bigger passion is music. So I was like, I kind of want to work that into the equation. Um, so I started doing this thing where everyone who subscribes, I write a song for them. If they subscribe to me while I'm streaming, I was like, all right, I'll write you a song. So I started doing that, and then I was like, okay, I want to take this a little further. So I bought myself a loop pedal, and I started, writing songs, writing full loops on stream and things like that. And I started uploading those videos to YouTube and everything recently. Um, so that's been going pretty well. And then also my girlfriend Casey, she started streaming on Twitch, also playing Sims and streaming herself, learning how to crochet and stuff. It's like all this cool stuff that these cool opportunities that kind of came out of the limitations of this year, that I'm happy that we were able to take it in a creative direction.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people, and I've said this on, I think, almost every single episode this season, but a lot of people have expanded into the digital space, us
Oh yeah,
included, and just learned how to, make the best of it. And,
yeah,
you know, um, I think that that's just like a good quality about being a creative person is that you can always adapt. So you said
yeah.
that you adapted to a new way of working with a home office. May I ask you what's your day job?
I'm a web developer,
Oh,
so
nice.
I actually pretty it was late 2019. I got a new job, and I ended up moving pretty like closer to my job. And when I was looking for jobs, one of like the things that I wanted was to work from home, and the job that I ended up getting is great, but the only requirement it didn't hit was working from home. And then this all started, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start working from home now, right? And they were like, okay, sure. And I was actually, because I'm immunocompromised, I was the first person in my company working remote. And even
Mm.
then, it was like they were like, okay, we'll give you like 2 weeks, and then we'll reevaluate. 3 days later, the rest of the company was working remote.
Right,
Um, so I've been very lucky that it hasn't really interrupted anything. It barely even slowed down my workflow for my day job. Um, so I feel pretty fortunate, for that.
right. No, I tell this to everybody, and I'll say it again, is that a lot of creative people have day jobs, a lot of musicians and
Oh yeah,
creatives, while they contribute so much to the community and the economy and the entertainment industry, like a lot of us do have day jobs,
it's
me
true.
and Dane included.
And I feel like on one hand, it's like I would love to be doing something musical or artistic full time, but on the other hand, it kind of almost makes it even more special when I do get to be creative because it's a contrast to my day job. And my day job, it's not that I'm not like I actually do get some opportunities to be creative with programming, um, but of course not as much as music. And it does kind of give a good balance.
Do you play with Arduino at home?
I actually shortly before all this happened, I bought an Arduino and a few things for it. I was going to I had plans to basically add a mod to my pedal board because I have a really nice delay pedal, but the only problem with that pedal is you can't tap the tempo, so you can't let it know like exactly what speed you want it to go. So I was actually I have everything I need for it. Um, I was gonna make a thing with the Arduino where I could tap the tempo and then it would turn the knob to the proper spot on the pedal. Um, but I haven't really had to touch my pedal board much in the past few months.
Right. And I just want to tell everybody that's listening an
Mm,
Arduino kit is a kit that you can buy and it's like I think $40 and what you could do is you could use all this open source code to make it like react and you can build all this really cute stuff off it and it's all open source. So if you guys ever want to like look
sure.
into coding, it's a very easy kit. Like they sell it to kids, you know.
It is definitely a good way to get into programming for sure. It's something I haven't messed with it nearly as much as I want to, but it's definitely like it's not as complicated as it would it's definitely a simplified version of like programming a machine, like because
Yeah.
you're literally it's the difference between like an Arduino and a Raspberry Pi is Arduinos kind of have more of a kind of their direction is more to make moving part machinery and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's kind of it's definitely a really cool thing. It's like I honestly can't even fully explain it super well, but
Well,
it's
you're
something
gonna
that I
hate
want
me.
to learn more about.
you're gonna hate me because
yeah.
for my back when I was at Rutgers, I took a class. I took several classes where we had to interact with and make Arduinos, like stuff
Oh,
with
nice.
Arduino, and I made a metronome that counts off beat. And Paul was like, "Why would you do that?"
Oh my
He was like,
God.
"Why would
On
you do
purpose?
that?" Yeah, on purpose. I made a
What was
metronome
or
that started off beat.
oh my God. I was gonna say, like, is this like it's not a bug, it's a feature type of thing, or
It's
is
a
it?
feature. It's programmed chaos. It's madness.
That's funny. How does that even? Okay, I assume it it finds the beat and then just adds
Yeah,
to
it
that
adds a
beat, like
measure.
it purposely deviates from it.
Yep.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Yes. I
You know Simone Yetch?
I've
Have you heard of
heard that
Simone
name
Yetch?
before, but I'm not familiar with the person that you're talking about.
She's a YouTuber, and uh, she's known as the shitty robot queen, and she literally just uses an Arduino and makes these really useless, really like crappy robots.
Well, great. We need someone to make Boston Dynamics slow down. They already made the Black Mirror dog. Like, I don't know. Like everybody's like, it's just a bunch of pistons with reactions. I'm like, yeah, and then the pistons and the reactions are gonna log how many times you kick it to the side.
See, I see stuff like that, and I'm just like, we've become too powerful.
Right. But you know, it's actually pretty interesting because right now, if anybody's listening to this and they are a creative person and they do want to like go through a whole career change, programming is it because
Oh, it's great.
like, yeah, okay, so not when but when the Fukushima meltdown happened in Japan all those years ago, 2010, 2011, sometime around
Yeah.
that, um, they they called out for the world, does anybody have a robot that can that can walk and turn off a switch for us? And basically, it's like the great robot race right now to try to um, make robots that can go into those situations and like flip a switch because no one had it, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You, I assume that's not a problem now, right?
I don't think so. I think that now they have like all these different competitions and stuff. But again, like that's just the art world is very interdisciplinary, and I encourage
Yeah.
anybody who likes sculpture to definitely get into Arduino because like interactive sculpture, that's the way it's going right now.
It's just funny to think how far we've come in that time, where it's just like where I feel like give me a week and I could try to figure out how to make that robot. But like back then, I'm like, I don't know, what is this? And I feel like a lot. I feel like just programming and just a lot of technological advancements have just become so much more widespread and just available to everyone now that and I feel like honestly, one of the positive things that have come out of the whole pandemic is a lot more people are embracing technology, and like even restaurants, just a lot of them are just improving their online ordering. um, a lot of them are providing like QR codes for their menus so you don't have to actually touch a menu. Just stuff like that I'm just like, why haven't we done this already? And I think back like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when we didn't have smartphones 15 years ago, and the fact that it's gotten to the point where you can be pretty confident in them doing pretty much whatever they want. Like
Right.
whatever someone wants a smartphone to do, they could probably find a way to do it.
Exactly. But then again, like speaking about art and design, that's UX, UI,
Hmm.
and programming and everything that you could definitely just like go into if you're again like an artist or creative that is thinking about shifting into a more lucrative field. If you have those skills or that eye for design, you could definitely like, tread that way.
Oh yeah.
So, as a creative person post COVID, how do you feel, Brandon?
Um, so there's kind of a spectrum to that. So basically, I would say the first like 3 months of the quarantine, and that was when I was very very strictly quarantined. I still am pretty strict with it, but like I did not go anywhere. Um, I was actually fine. I actually was like I felt pretty fortunate that I went through all that time feeling pretty good. And then I feel like even after that, I couldn't complain all that much. Um, but of course, it's going to take a toll. Just the lifestyle change in general. Um, Going through like summer and just having to kind of watch it come and go. Um, you know, so like I can't say that I don't feel good or anything, but it's definitely started to get to the point where it's just like maybe some of like the stress levels that I have might be a little bit higher now just because I I do work from home still and I'm kind of stuck inside. But also, um, on the other hand, it's really given me a lot of opportunities to expand my creativity, um, to introspect just a little bit more. And one of the things that one of the big things that have come out of it for me, through Twitch and through just streaming in general, um, was the realization that I can improvise. And I always knew that musically I could improvise, but I was never comfortable. Let me adjust that. So I always knew that I could improvise on guitar, but improvising lyrically and putting something together that is on the spot was something that I always kind of avoided just because it's like, damn, that's hard. um, but through Twitch, I kind of just decided like, hey, I'm gonna start just improvising more, and basically that's what I do now. I just improvise songs, I improvise loops. I have like 20 different instruments here, and I'll just pull them out and add them to the loop, and you know 10 minutes later something really cool happened, and I'm like, geez, like I've created more musical pieces that I'm proud of in these like 6 months than most of my life. Like, and I'm proud of the music I created most of my life, but I've created more of it because I allowed myself to not overthink things and to just kind of put stuff out there and say it is what it is. Because I definitely, before this, had a tendency to overthink my creativity, and it would get in my way. And that's something that I knew, but I didn't really know. That's something that I didn't really address, and I didn't really allow myself to go, hey, how do I stop overthinking? And apparently the answer was just do the thing.
Yeah, that is just do the thing.
Yeah.
This podcast is an example of us just doing the
There you
thing.
go.
I wanted to do a podcast for many years and I didn't necessarily know what it was. And then, when this whole thing happened, it was just like, just do the thing. Like, I don't care if I get judged. I don't care if it's like this or that. We'll put it out there. And you know what? People loved it so much. We got a season 2. So,
There you go.
and I think, yeah, and I think that creative people are the biggest overthinkers
Oh yeah.
that I know.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's insane because you go to some other like left brain, you know, people like business analysts or like
Right.
business administration majors or programming majors or just like science majors. Any of those people, they're just like, yeah, but why don't you just do it? Like, isn't that just easy? And I'm like,
It's like,
it's not.
nah, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, it is, but I don't want to tell you that. Like,
Yeah, I know, right? Like, it's just me setting up a routine and a schedule.
yeah.
About routines and a schedule. So, how are you? So, what's your daily routine now? that
So pretty much, my daily routine has kind of had a bit of an ebb and flow basically through this time. Um, but for the most part, I do my 9 to 5, sitting right here, and then you know I'll a few times a week I'll do my streams sitting right here. So it's really you know that's probably the biggest part of it for me. That's something that I'm excited to have an option to kind of just be here all day. Um, right now, of course, it's more of a necessity. Of course, that isn't like all of it. I've uh, been going for a lot of like long walks, kind of exploring the new area that I live in now that I moved a little bit before this all happened. But yeah, primarily it's just right in front of this desk. Either I have 2 different computers here. I'm either programming on one or making music on the other, and that's about it.
what are the computers that you have?
So for my work computer, it's a MacBook Pro, um,
Mm-hmm.
and for my streaming slash music slash everything else computer, um, I I built this computer in I don't know what was that I guess early April. Um, but yeah, I built it from scratch. Just got all the parts from Micro Center and put it all together. It's
Bless you. Oh my goodness. My
I love
old,
doing that stuff.
oh my goodness. I want to build when I settle, I definitely want to build like my own desktop. But
Nice.
for right now, I just bought a new like Asus Vivio book. And
That's solid.
yes, my old one was a Republic of Gamers, like i7, and you know, it was all
Yeah.
geeked out, but
Yeah. Right.
it just, yeah, so
Yeah. I've got that ROG graphics card that's staring me in the face with that I logo right now.
same.
But I love it. I recently like doubled the RAM up and everything, so
Oof.
I was having a little bit of some stuttering in my streams, so I doubled the RAM and that fixed that. And no, this thing's treating me well. I have another computer that I built. That was the first computer that I built, and that thing's still kicking. It's been probably about 6 years at least, and that's actually I don't know if you've seen the on Twitch Elementality NJ. So that's the other band I'm in, but John is the leader of that band, and he's the sax player in the Schwam. Um, he's streaming from that computer right now, so that's actually at his place because I moved out. Like we were all living together in what we were calling Schwam House, and he's still there with a few other people now, but that's where I was living at the time. So I was like, I'll leave my computer here, and that was a Hackintosh. So I
Nice.
basically, I built it so that it could run uh, Mac OS X. That was the most painful experience of my life. Not really, but for that to be the first computer I've ever built was way too difficult, and I don't recommend it for anyone. And I've actually since just wiped it and installed Windows on it because after 5 years it was just getting unstable.
Oh, I bet. And you
Yeah.
know what? Like, especially, I feel that, like, especially when you are mixing and editing audio, I feel that it's very important because I only took one audio recording class ever in my life, never again. um,
Yeah.
but it's so important that your tech and your gear is something that you can resonate with and quickly adapt to.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just so happy that you're able to have access to such strong like computers because a lot of people they don't invest in the recording equipment. They just go to the studio or they just go
True.
to their school or wherever they have access to recording. But then now with all of this happening, I'm really glad to see that like some of my friends like bought their own recording equipment.
Oh yeah, and I had basically I had like a whole studio at the old place, and the hardest part of installing Windows on the Hackintosh was that I lost Pro Tools and all my plugins and stuff like that because I was using Pro Tools 10 and
Pro Tools.
they're on like I don't even know like they stopped numbering them after 12 basically, and I was using Pro Tools 10 which only worked with that version of the Mac OS X that I was using and doesn't work with anything past Windows 7. So I was just like, I'm not dropping however much a month on Pro Tools, but I have the Adobe Suite now,
Right.
so that
Do you feel
I
that
at least use more of that.
what do you use in the Adobe Suite?
I use mostly Premiere
Hmm.
for video editing and Photoshop, and I use Audition for my audio workstation.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I've gotten into Illustrator a lot too. Illustrator's fun. I actually never thought that I'd be able to actually like. I've never been good at like visual art, and I feel like that's the closest I've come. I've made my own like emotes on Twitch and stuff like that, and it's actually pretty cool.
Right. As a graphic designer, I primarily use InDesign because
Okay.
InDesign like helps you line up all the wording. I make all of my work resumes on InDesign. I do not use Word
Ah,
like Microsoft Word.
that's good to know. So
Yeah, I've
you're a graphic
gotten
designer. Okay. So I
yeah,
see that's where I lack. I like I could do pretty much like all of like the tech stuff, but design is not my thing. Like I've tried so hard.
right. I'm interested in, I don't know, technology is at the intersection of art and music and design right now. Like
Oh
there
yeah,
it is the intersection and I feel like it is definitely the bridge.
yeah,
And I feel that like as we were talking about Arduino, that things are only going to progress more.
true.
And like I'm glad that you have had the time to, write all those amazing song lyrics and like at least now in quarantine. I'm sorry, I'm like stuttering.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
I totally, and I feel like even more than people realize, technology being kind of that intersect is like um, basically everything that people are interacting with now, like websites and everything like that, and I mainly work with, with building websites rather than like software. Um, all the things that we're like familiar with and the things that we consider normal and um, logical uh, on the web is because of the design, not as much because of the programming. It's basically just like the typical locations of things where like menus are like, oh, I'm looking for this thing, I'm gonna look over here. That's all on like design, and then that's where that all
right,
it kind of guides things more than people realize.
right. I'm on Dribble and I subscribe to it so I get their like daily kind of newsletter. And what I got was how to explain
Okay,
UX UI to a 5-year-old.
that's crazy. That like and like I guess I could picture how to sort of explain it, but it's crazy to see that like 5-year-olds like kids are coding kids, and also like I've seen some crazy musical talent from kids as young as like as young as to the point where you're still describing their age in months. I think that's absolutely insane, and but it's really cool because it kind of that's what leads the world to expanding um, opportunities and technology even more.
Right. And it allows kids
Making more advanced technology even normal.
Right, and it also
Sorry.
helps normalize. I was gonna say that it also helps kids, keep that creativity throughout their life, which is very important.
Yeah, and that curiosity too, which I feel like is, you know, even if you don't end up in a artistic field or a technological field, that curiosity and that open mindedness is gonna, you know, bring them way farther.
Right. So, Brandon, my last questions for you is, you know, you talked about experimenting. Are you able to bring your that desire to experiment and that curiosity into your programming career and your music career?
Oh, definitely. And even just the just the recent kind of self discovery of more of a comfort with improvisation. um, that's helped me a lot in my day job too, where in the past I would, you know, be tasked with writing some type of code really, and I would spend more time trying to figure out what's the absolute best way to do this, rather than, hey, what's a good way to do this, but a way that will get it done, and you know that will be fitting for the task at hand. um, and musically, you know, obviously we're not back at the point of practicing and writing new music yet, at least with the band. Um, but I think what it'll bring for me is just kind of a different approach to how we write new music. I want to try and, because in the past we would write new music kind of separately and then bring it together and kind of talk about it and things like that. And it's like, you know, I think it'd be nice to make it a little more organic and make it a little more um, spontaneous. And I think just knowing that that I kind of apparently work better when I'm not overthinking. Who would have guessed? Um, just knowing that, I feel like I'll be able to implement that in uh, in my band situations where it's not just me who's having the creative input. We're kind of learning
Right.
how we all work together. Even after 10 years, still, you know, always still learning.
No, and that's great to have that type of mentality and have those types of goals.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts?
Yeah. I basically this whole pandemic and this whole year is, it's affecting all of us differently. I definitely do feel fortunate that I feel it's affected me not minimally, but less than I realize it has affected some other people. Um, but that's just pure luck. You know, we still all need to be respectful of each other and kind of realize what we're all going through, because we're all going through it, even if it is on different levels. And I've definitely seen less of an empathy online and you know, even in person. Some, you know, there there's definitely kind of, everyone's kind of at a boiling point, I could tell. And I think it would help a lot if everyone just kind of took a step back and was like, we're all going through this. And you know, for people who have been affected even more, you know, you have people around you who can make it easier. And hopefully everyone's making the best of it.
Yeah. I think that, everybody has, if they look hard enough, like a support system there for them. And, sometimes you don't realize, who's around you or who's in front of you. But
Right.
I encourage everyone to like reach out to their friends, reach out to family, and to keep and just not only on social media, but like text
Right.
somebody, call somebody. You don't have to always interact through the social media platforms because those carry a
True.
lot of negativity these days.
True. I've even noticed as far as like the negativity in social media, I've noticed something really interesting where prior to this year, the more anonymous social media were the more toxic parts
Hmm.
of the internet, and I feel like now the anonymous parts of the internet have become really supportive, and the less anonymous ones like Facebook and things like that have just become incredibly toxic. And yeah,
Yeah.
so pretty much I've been avoiding social media, just because I've just seen that negativity kind of coming through. Just that everyone's stress is kind of getting to that boiling point, and as long as we could all realize y- we're all going through similar stuff, and we'll get through all this together, and hopefully what comes out of it is a better understanding of each other, and a better sense of empathy between people. So hopefully.
Absolutely. I'm all for peace and love and
Right.
understanding and empathy.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to this episode of Gigless. Again, I'm your host, Remi Leibovic, and our guest today was Brandon Bachrach.
Thank you for having me.
Take us out, Dane.
Thank you for listening to the Gigless podcast, hosted by Remi Leibovic and produced by Dane Wagner. The song used in our intro and outro is Beach Walk by Unicorn Heads. If you enjoyed this podcast, head over to our social media pages on Instagram at Gigless Podcast and our website, giglesspodcastblog.wordpress.com. There you can find out more about the artist, contact the host and producer, and find out more about our schedule. Thank you.